All right, today we're going to go behind the drywall and under the floorboards to uncover the unseen forces that are waging a constant, silent war on your home's most vital systems. Let's dive right in. You know, we've all been there. You get that sinking feeling when you hear a weird noise coming from a pipe or you spot a mysterious puddle, and your first thought is, oh no, a fixture failed or a pipe just gave out. But what if the real culprit isn't what you think it is?
And that's the really wild idea we're exploring. The most destructive forces attacking your home's pipes and drains, they often come from the outside world, from the very ground your house is built on.
So to really understand this war, we first have to recognize the sounds of battle. And for any homeowner, believe me, those sounds are unmistakable and, frankly, pretty terrifying. You know how it goes. It starts with a gurgle from a toilet when it's not even supposed to be doing anything. Then you hear that persistent drip you just can't seem to locate. And finally, maybe the most dreaded sound of all, silence, when you turn a handle and absolutely nothing comes out. These aren't just little annoyances, they're distress signals. So, if the problem isn't just a faulty pipe, where is this attack coming from? Well, the answer is literally right under your feet. Let's zoom in on the primary battlefield, the ground itself.
Now this is where it gets really interesting, especially when we look at a place like Gretna, Louisiana. The ground your house sits on, it isn't some stable, solid platform. Not at all. It's made of soft, heavy clay that's constantly shifting, expanding and contracting with every bit of moisture. Now you add in high water tables and regular flooding, and what you get is a foundation that's always on the move, squeezing and stressing the rigid pipes buried inside it.
And the ground isn't just moving, it's actively attacking. You've got three major invaders to worry about. First, there are these super aggressive tree roots, especially from those beautiful live oaks. They can actually sense the water in your sewer lines and will physically break right into them. Then you've got acidic groundwater, which literally eats away at older cast iron pipes from the outside in. And if that's not enough, even the air, that thick summer humidity, creates condensation that just drips and breeds mold. It's a full-on multi-front assault.
So with all this constant pressure from the outside, the type of plumbing you have becomes absolutely critical. The materials themselves really determine whether your home can stand up to the siege. Let's take a look at the old guard versus the new recruits to see what I mean.
Okay, so here's the real difference. It all comes down to rigidity versus flexibility. On the left, you've got the old standard, galvanized steel. Yeah, it was strong, but it rusts from the inside out, slowly choking off your water flow until it's just a trickle of brown water. But on the right, you have modern PEX tubing. This stuff is a total game changer. It resists corrosion, and this is the most important part, it's flexible. So when that clay soil shifts, PEX can actually bend and give where that old steel would just crack.
And you know, it's the same old versus new story with water heaters. That traditional tank is basically a giant 40-gallon steel drum that's in a constant fight with corrosion. And when it finally fails, it's not a slow drip, it's a catastrophic flood in your garage. The modern tankless heater, on the other hand, completely eliminates that risk. Why? Because there's no tank to burst. It just heats water as you need it, a much safer and way more efficient design for a home under constant environmental stress.
All right, so you're faced with a shifting foundation and an army of natural invaders. You can't just keep patching the problems as they pop up. You need a real strategy. You have to fight back intelligently, using modern tech and a clear plan of action.
A really solid defense strategy works on 3 levels. First, you've got the emergency response, stopping the bleeding when a pipe bursts or the sewer backs up. Second, there are proactive repairs, tackling those slow drains and little drips before they turn into a nightmare. And third, the ultimate solution, system upgrades. This is where you rip out the old, vulnerable systems and replace them with modern materials designed to win this war for the long haul.
And here's a perfect example of a modern weapon in this fight, hydrojetting. Remember those invasive tree roots we talked about? A conventional snake just kind of pokes a hole through them, which means they're going to grow right back. But hydrojetting? It uses a high-pressure jet of water to completely obliterate the roots and scour the pipe walls clean. It's not just treating the symptom, it's eliminating the source of the clog for good.
Now that you understand the enemy and the defenses you have, the most important question is this. Can you recognize the early warnings? Because your home is constantly sending you signals about the state of this hidden war. Think of this slide as your official decoder ring. That gurgling toilet? That isn't just a funny quirk. It could be your sewer line backing up because of those tree roots. Suddenly have super low water pressure? Well, it's likely your old galvanized pipes are rusting themselves shut. And that wet spot in the yard that never seems to dry up? That could be a huge sign that your main water line has broken deep underground. These are the clues your house is giving you. So just remember,
The drips, the gurgles, and the stains. They aren't just minor maintenance issues. They're bulletins from the front line of the hidden war in your home. The only question left is, are you listening?